Welcome everybody. This is Ray of RebelEars.com. I want to welcome everybody who's listening to today's podcast. So I want to break today's podcast into three different segments. So I'm going to call this the 3 C's. So with me, the 3 C's are communication, consistency, and character. So there's a reason for each. I'll start with communication first. So good example. Not putting any names out there, but there's a few people who I work with who are not good with communication. So let's use this for an example. If you're a recording engineer and you booked a session in the A room, B room, C room, wherever studio you work with, you communicated with the owner that you want to book a session, let's say 4 o'clock. So the artist doesn't call you, don't let you know anything. It's like 4:10, 4:15. The artist still didn't hit you up about what time they're going to be there. 4:20, they say they're going to be there at 4:30. And another thing, you didn't get a deposit. So you're losing money, and then you get in a bad representation of yourself to the owner. So what happened is the owner's going to look at you as someone who's not reliable with making sure the artist comes in on time, don't really know what's going on. And then a big thing is a deposit. I tell every engineer who's booking a session, if you're going to book a session at a studio with an artist, even if they're your friend, even if they're someone that you knew for a long time, you still need to get a deposit, because that saves you from the hassle of, let's say the artist does a show, right? You still have a deposit that you can pay for the room just in case of anything happen. It's like a backup plan, right? So make sure anytime you have a session, get a deposit. And then also with the communication, sometimes you have to take it upon yourself to call people. I'm not saying you have to hassle them, track them down. It's just a good way of showing an act of, I wouldn't say leadership, I'm just saying putting your best foot forward to making sure that you get things done, because everybody's living their own life. So it's hard to really say if a person forgot, or there might be an important engagement, or something might have came up, family, business, personal, you never know. But the thing is, when you take it upon yourself to give that person a call, that saves you the hassle of trying to get in touch with somebody. So that's a good way to look at it. And then even with communication, it builds a good repertoire with you, with other people, because they're thinking automatically like, anytime, let's say a friend has an event at a venue, you say that you can make it, and you don't, right? Sometimes you got to be honest. Well, no, you always got to be honest, but there's times when you can say like, I want to make it, depending on, it could be you working, you might get off late, you got to explain it that way. So it's good to have communication. It's good to let people know what's going on, keep them updated. Even the people you're around, you want to build a team that's good with communication. Like I tell people, if you're going to build from the ground up with people around you, you got to treat it like a business. You got to communicate, you got to call, you got to text, you got to email, you got to, do what you got to do. Even if you got to do like a video chat, it's just letting people know that you're taking it serious. Okay? So the second C is consistency. So with this, it kind of falls in line with communication, because of course you got to be consistent with communication with calling, texting, emailing, video chat, whatever you got to do. But even on the aspect of getting things done, like from the last podcast about, having a planner, staying organized, you got to have that consistency to make sure that you fall in line with yourself. Because let's say that you want to get things done and you feel like you don't have the time. Well, if you break it down from how many hours you might sleep, if you go to work, what time you get off work, when you get home, do you have enough time to do what you need to do. Because when you get home, how do you spend that time? Do you spend it watching TV, playing video games? Do you spend it with your loved ones, or do you go out with your friends? You got to really pick and choose what you're going to do, especially if you want to be consistent with having this long term. So when it comes to that part, you really want to plan, have a calendar, something tangible that you can have on the wall, like a big calendar with sticky notes. Make sure you got everything in order, planned out, mapped out, whatever you need to do to make sure that you stay on task. And with being consistent with that, it will help you to build the people around you. It helps to build more from the foundation, from the ground up. Because let's say with me, with the podcast, I'm staying consistent with it. I already plan to put out up to 2 to 3 a week. So I got to be consistent with that. I want to make sure that if I could keep my word on that and bring you value and experience from what I've been through in the past, from building stages to being an intern, being a mix engineer, to working with Steve Hibicki, working with Mike Will Made It, ear drummers, working on tracks that had 21 Savage, Lil Yachty, Migos, and the list goes on. But the reason why all that happened, because I was consistent from when I was interning. Before even interning, I was talking to Jay Padron that I was going to shout out to Justin Padron. I was at SAE, and I told him that I was school for audio engineering. He told me there was an internship. So even being consistent with interning, because you might be there late, no pay, but you get experience. And that's what I was consistent with. Learning the equipment, working in the A room, B room, learning how to patch the cables from the patch bays, understanding the signal flow in the room, learning the compressors, EQs, using the plugins, outboard gear, learning mic placements, even, making sure that I was consistent with booking sessions. So let's say in that nature, that's consistency. That, being consistent as an intern got me to the point that I have platinum gold records, because I was really focused on what needed to be done. And then the last one is really big for me, character. So, it really speaks volume on how you treat people, how you conduct business, even personal, because it can really either make or break you. So let's use this as an example. There's 2 people, right? Both of them are, let's say, mixing engineers, right? One have great quality mixing. Another person has really decent mixing, right? Of course, you're going to go with the high quality, but it depends on the person you're working with, because who knows, you might work with someone who just have a cocky attitude because they have a good mix. But the thing is, it will affect your business, because you got to think of it this way. If you are working with a client and they telling you things that they would like, and you feeling like, yeah, I hear you, I got you, I'm going to do it my way, right? That speaks on your character to the point that the client might not recommend you to anybody, and then you don't build clientele that way, because everything's word of mouth. If you have bad attitude, automatically people are not going to want to work with you. They're going to tell everybody who they know not to work with you, and it just plummets from there. So, of course, in my opinion, I highly believe this. You got to be humble. You got to treat everybody how you want to be treated, even if they don't treat you with the same respect. The reason why I say this, because you never know who that person knows, okay? So never leave on a bad note, even if it's someone you don't like, because I can name so many situations when a person had an attitude with me for no reason. and I still treat them with respect. And then weeks goes by, they introduced me to someone who paid for like $800-900 worth of mixing within what 2 weeks, I believe. Yeah, it was like 2 weeks because I was doing a lot of just mixing from. I guess he was at a home studio. This one artist who I was working with, and he would just come in with tracks and tracks day by day. And around that time, I was really starting off. It wasn't the beginning. It was like like 2-3 months of interning at Castle Hill Studios. I was building a clientele. I was working with this artist, and my price around that time for a mix was $60. Now it's a little higher. Well, honestly, I don't mix how I used to. The reason why, because I have the comfort to do it all at home, and I don't really have to worry about the stress of going to the studio, working with an artist I don't really like, then having to worry about when the session ends. Got to worry about the next engineer coming in, making sure I bounce the track, making sure that artist gets the track. Then, depending on what gear I'm using, I might have to come back to the studio just to mix it. It's just very comfortable to do it at home. But even with that, my character got me clientele. My character got me to host events at different venues without even have to pay a venue fee. Now, that's a big thing. My character helps me to work with producers, getting productions for free for artists. It all speaks volume, like I said. So, like I said, but there's a limitation. You don't just want to be disrespected every time, like a person feel like they can just walk over you. Hold your ground, of course. In the end, go with your instinct. If something doesn't feel right, of course, go with it. But you do want to maintain that sense of pride, that sense of presence, that people can be like, you know what? He's someone who I can trust. He's someone who tells me if he's going to send a track to me or send the track outs. So track outs are the individual, let's say you were a producer and an artist needs a track out because the engineer they're working with wants to get the full layout of the song. A track out is basically everything individually. So you have your kick, your snare, your hi-hats. The instruments might be pianos, guitars, synths, whatever it might be. But the thing is, when you tell that person you're going to do something, you keep your word. That's good character of you. And then even with that, communication, consistency, and character all falls in the line of, just being a good person who takes their business serious. Even if, it might be a hobby, your hobby can turn into your career. You just got to think of it this way. If it's something you love, you want to do it for the rest of your life, and it will not feel like a job at all. That's why I'm doing this podcast, consistent with Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the website, YouTube in the near future. Got sample packs coming out with a couple of producers I'm working with. Got some ebooks dealing with EQ, compression. Even in the near future with Henry with the 3, going to come out with an ebook about how to be successful at a home recording studio, how to go step by step to make money at home without having to worry about going to a studio. I still recommend going to a studio because, the room is treated. You get good quality mics. You get good quality equipment. So, you should always take advantage. I do recommend interning because that's how I met Steve Hibicki and worked on all those tracks. You never know when a door will open, but for you to get to the door, you got to walk to it. So do what you have to do to get to the next step, to take, to get to the next chapter of your book called life. So I just want to thank everybody for listening to me talking about 3 C's: communication. Always, be good with getting everybody on the same page, especially when it comes to something that's important. Consistency. Gotta keep putting out content. Gotta keep everybody on the same page. Gotta gotta stay focused. Gotta do what you gotta do. And character. Stay humble. Don't let nobody walk over you. But in the end, make sure that you in line with the right people who can take you to the next level. So just wanted to tell everybody thank you for listening to this segment of Rebel Ears. But also, I want to recommend a book that's good. So something that deals with character. The Alchemist. The Alchemist is a book about a boy who was, I'm trying to remember, it's been a while since I read it. He's a shepherd and he had no money. He only had like a few sheep left, and he met this person who told him this amazing story that he would be, going on this journey. And it's a real good book. I'm trying to remember who's the author. I think it was Paulo Coelho. It's Paulocoelho. And The Alchemist is a great book. Like I said, it's about a shepherd who here's this story from a fortune teller who tell him he's going to be going on this amazing trip, this journey. And in the end, he finds out that it was, from the beginning, he had everything he needed. It's a good book. I recommend it. Going to be recommending more books. Sorry I couldn't get more information. It's been so long since I read it, but there's going to be so many books that I'm going to try to tell y'all about to get y'all more in sync with, educating yourself on good books, especially when it comes to something that's good for, your spirituality. It's a very spiritual book. It talks about a couple of religions. Just test it out, and you never know. You might be a fan of the book. But if not, let me know how you feel about it. Voice your opinion, how you feel. And, if there's anything you would like to hear for the next segment, let me know, and we'll go from there. But again, from me and everybody at Rebel Ears, we want to say thank you for listening, and keep tuning in.